And the Oscar goes to...
Let's get this out of the way. I am not a Shakespeare expert. I've only read snippets of his work, seen just one of his plays on stage, and watched just a few films based on his stories, like Romeo and Juliet, Othello, Too Much Ado adaptions, and Ron. I've never even read Hamlet. Some of you may say that makes me unqualified to review today's film, but I'm a firm believer that a movie should be able to stand on its own. It shouldn't require supplemental material to appreciate it. But to be clear, I'll be approaching this as a Shakespeare novice. Nothing more, nothing less. Anyway, this 1948 adaptation of William Shakespeare's famous play, written sometime between 1599 and 1602, has many notable distinctions. It was the first sound film of Hamlet performed in English, it was the first non-American and the first British movie to win Best Picture, it is the only Best Picture winner to receive that award and the top prize at the Venice Film Festival, and it is, as of December 2016, the only Shakespeare film to win the Oscars top award. Something else that sets this Hamlet apart from most others is its total elimination of the characters of Fortinbras, Rosencrantz, and Guildenstern. Fortinbras, who's barely in the play, was the Prince of Norway, a country recently defeated by Hamlet's country of Denmark, and the main characters fear Fortinbras will soon attack in revenge for his fallen father. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, who have much bigger roles than Fortinbras, were old friends of Hamlet's who essentially serve as comic relief. As time has gone on, Shakespeare fans and scholars have become more annoyed by the absence of these characters, as well as the omission of around an hour and a half of story material. Director and lead actor Sir Laurence Olivier, who is directing the second of his 3 Shakespeare films, said he took out the characters and the political elements that came with them due to time. He also wanted to put more emphasis on the psychological aspects of the story. This was considered fine until TV adaptations managed to find room for the characters in shorter runtimes. What's the story we do have? Well, the country of Denmark has experienced a recent changing of the guards with the sudden death of its king 2 months ago, and the marriage of Queen Gertrude, played by Eileen Hurley, to the king's brother Claudius, played by Basil Sidney. Prince Hamlet, played by Olivier, has been deeply depressed over these events. He doesn't think it's right that his mother should marry his uncle, especially so soon after his father's death. Meanwhile, Hamlet joins his close friend Horatio, played by Norman Woolard, and 2 castle guards for a night's watch after they claim to see the ghost of the king. The ghost appears again and tells Hamlet that his death was not natural or accidental, but murder.
Murder most foul as in the best it is, but this most foul, strange, and unnatural.
Haste me to know it, that I with wings as swift as meditation or the thoughts of love may sweep to my revenge.
Now, Hamlet, here, 'tis given out that sleeping in my orchard a serpent stung me. So the holy air of Denmark is by a forged process of my death rankly abused. But know thou, noble youth, the serpent that did sting thy father's life now wears his crown.
Hoping to cover up his actual intentions and to covertly test the conscience of those around him, Hamlet feigns madness to find out if his uncle really did kill the king. If he did, revenge is on the horizon. Jean Simmons also stars as Ophelia, Hamlet's love interest. The story isn't an issue. While it has great chunks taken out of it, it follows the overall plot of Shakespeare's original play, which has obviously endured and connected with audiences for over 400 years. But in some cases, Olivier should have strayed farther from his source material. Stage stories are limited in their locations. They're restricted by the confines of a theater stage, a budget, and the time needed to perform scene changes. That's why so many plays take place in one room or a small number of locations. In a movie, that isn't an issue. Stories can be opened up, and usually when adapting a play to a film or television, that's what you want to do. That doesn't mean Hamlet had to become a large-scale epic like Ben-Hur, but you have to go past the confines of a stage show because movies are a different medium. That is, unless it's a story that has to take place in one location, like 12 Angry Men, and even that was opened up a little bit. Olivier's Hamlet never reaches far past the trappings of a stage-bound play. There are some shots and elements that open the movie up, such as the establishing shot of the castle next to the ocean, a flashback to a sea voyage, and some crane shots that show off the size of the castle, but they're not enough. It doesn't help that most of the film takes place in the royal castle, which severely restricts the film and makes it come off more like a play. One scene, with its dark lighting and minimal set, even looks like Olivier is performing on a circular stage. There are 1 or 2 instances where it's obvious they shot outside, but those moments last mere seconds in at least one case. If this had been a film stage show, I would have had no problem with this. But if you're making a play into a movie, it needs to feel like a movie. I understand this is a psychological human story. In that case, a smaller, restricted view may be what Olivier was going for, but he could have changed up the setting more and still done that. I will say there's some great camera work that eerily moves us through the castle, and some uses of shadow that are reminiscent of German expressionism and from war. They effectively put you in Hamlet's weird headspace and give the movie a perfect mood of doom and gloom. This is probably a good time to remind you all that I watch movies from the perspective of when they came out, and from a modern point of view. One allows me to accept older special effects, editing, cinematography, pacing, and acting styles. But that doesn't mean I can never criticize any of those things in a 1940s movie, because sometimes the pacing, or camera work, or special effects, or acting just don't age well. That's why I also judge movies from a contemporary perspective, because someone today coming to a 1948 film for the first time deserves to know whether it still holds up. I don't think Olivier's Hamlet does. And it's not the dialogue that makes me think that. As I already mentioned, this play has endured for centuries. So is its dialogue, which if done correctly can feel as natural, fresh, and new as it did when it was first performed. It's the acting style that's outdated. It's proper Shakespearean acting with a capital S and a touch of snootiness. It's theatrical, but in the worst way. It's not natural, but rehearsed. It's not a character, but a performance. Like a scene early on where Hamlet is distraught over the sudden marriage of his mother to his uncle.
Why she would hang on him as if increase of appetite had grown by what it fed on, and yet within a month, let me not think on it. Frailty, thy name is woman. A little month, or ere those shoes were old, with which she followed my poor father's body, like Niobe, all tears. Why she, even she, O God, a beast that once discourse of reason would have mourned longer.
The actors are also too often melodramatic. They don't completely lack subtlety, but you're wishing for it far too often. Such as when Hamlet, while under the guise of madness, confronts his mother about some of the things she's done or possibly done.
Nay, but to live in the rank sweat of a lascivious bed, stewed in corruption, hurrying and making love over the nasty sky.
Speak to me no more. These words like daggers enter in mine ears no more, sweet Hamlet.
A murderer and a villain, a slave that is not 20th part the worth of your true lord, a cutpurse of the empire and the throne, that from a shelf the precious diadem stole and put it in his pocket. A king of shreds and passes.
Since the performances didn't feel genuine, I was rarely able to connect with the characters and get invested in their ups, downs, triumphs, and woes, and I was left largely unaffected by the story. I do have to give Olivier some credit. In some cases, he is giving the audience real human moments. My favorite such scene comes after he accidentally kills the chief counselor to the king, leaving Hamlet's uncle to wonder where his right-hand man is.
Where is Polonius?
In heaven. Send thither to see. If your messenger find him not there, seek him at the other place yourself. But indeed, if you find him not within this month, you shall nose him as you go up the stairs into the lobby.
Go, seek him there.
He will stay till you come.
For the most part, though, the acting in Olivier's Hamlet simply hasn't stood the test of time. It was fine back then, but now, not so much. If you can look past it, or if it's more your cup of tea, and you're not bothered by the theatricality of this movie, you'll probably like it. If you're like me and find the acting outdated, you'll want to find another version of Hamlet to watch.
Neither a borrower nor a lender be. Do not forget, stay out of debt. Think twice and take this good advice from me. Guard that old solvency. There's just one other thing you ought to do. To thine own self be true. Neither a borrower nor a lender be. Do not forget, stay out of debt. Think twice and take this good advice from me. Guard that old solvency. There's just one other thing you ought to do. To thine own self be true.